G'day crew, it's Ross here up on the roof in front of my evaporative air conditioning system. Now it's a beautiful mid-autumn day, the really hot weather's finished and I don't need to use this system again until late spring, early summer. And I'm going to winterize it, and there's three really good reasons why you should winterize your system, and I'm going to go through those three today. Now the first thing, you're going to notice that I've got bird netting. Now I'm going to take that off. The bird netting lives on this all year round, and the reason for that is I've got fairly big holes in this panel and little birds get in here and they peck away at the pads, and that was what it was like when I first moved in here. So the first thing I did is replace the pads and then I put the bird netting on. Newer units tend to have smaller holes so they don't have that problem. So let's look at this system, and the first thing we're going to do when we winterize it is we just want to have a bit of a look at our pads. Now these are a cellulose pad, and what often happens if you don't have that bird netting on is the birds get in here and they peck away and they'll peck a hole. Now, for some reason they peck it from the top, and then instead of the water dropping down into the top of the pad, it has to drop through a gap. And if that big fan there is on high, what happens is the air actually gets sucked through and the water gets sucked through with it. So instead of the water dropping, the water is actually sucked over onto the fan and it goes down into your system. So that's a really bad idea. So the first reason you want to winterize it is just to take a look. So pad's good, that one there and that one there, they're all good. So there's no damage to any of the four pads. There's one on either side. Now if there was damage, what I'd do is I'd take off these washers. I'd pull out these plastic pins here. I'd buy new pads and I'd put them back on. It's actually a pretty straightforward process. But in this instance, we're good to go. We'll come in and take a closer look. Now we've got that pad sitting there. We've got another one here, another one there, and they all look pretty good. Next thing we're looking for is a build-up of scale. Now you can see there that there's a little bit of scale, but really it just comes off with your fingers, so it's not stuck on there. I'll give that a bit of a wipe with a just with a brush at the start of next season when I've got a bit of water in there, and that's all I need to do, but there's nothing significant. Now I know that the float valve's working fine when I used it about 3-4 weeks ago, and I know that the pump, which is that thing right there, is also working fine. What isn't working fine is the dump valve, which is this white thing right here. I've got to replace that. That's okay. I've got 6 months before it gets warm again, so that'll give me time. The other thing I know is working well, but I think you should test, is your fan. What we're going to do, we want to get in there and actually test, number one, that it's not catching. I know this one's not because I've just replaced the motor. And also, you want to listen when you spin it for bearing noise. Yep, nothing. Now if you do have bearing noise, and there's one at the bottom of the motor and there's one at the top of the motor, if you've got bearing noise, then by the time you've got that noise, this motor's probably on its last legs. So you're probably better off getting the whole thing replaced. Now that's really the only thing you need to do as far as just giving it the once over. You're also looking for any cracks in the plastic casing. There's none in this one. And we're also looking for any leaks, which I did the last time I used it, and there's none. So that's the first reason why we want to winterize, just to have a bit of a look around the system, make sure it's okay. Now let's look underneath here. We have our tap coming out of the roof. You always have that, and I've already turned this one off, but it's on to let water through. What we want to do is turn it off in winter, all the way off. Now the reason for that is because the tap will allow water through this pipe into the solenoid. The solenoid is off, so that's fine, but what will happen if you're in an area where it freezes is the water in that pipe can freeze. Now, depending on what sort of pipe you've got, that means that it can actually split the pipe. Then during the day, when it warms up, this just pours water out everywhere. Then at night it freezes up again. Now, if I do this and I turn it off, even if the little bit of water in there does freeze, then what will happen in spring is I'll turn it back on, I'll see immediately there's a hole, and then I can just replace this part, which is about $10 from the plumbing store. So that's easy fixed. So always turn this off if you're in an area where it gets cold. Even if it isn't, it's just a good habit to get into. So that's the second reason we want to winterize. Now the last reason to winterize has to do with the design of these systems. So they're designed to suck air through the four pads and down into the house through the ducting. But what can happen in winter is cold air will actually blow through these pads, down the ducting and into your house. So what you want to do is go down and close all the louvers in the roof vents. But the other thing you want to do is close this pad. We're going to put the bird netting on top, and then you need to put a cover on it. Now you can buy a custom cover, which I've got, and you can buy them specifically for these systems, or even if you just get a tarpaulin and tie it around the bottom, just something to stop air getting into these. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there in the middle of winter and have these cold drafts coming down through your ducting, which is exactly what you don't want. So let's shut this system up. There we go, that's the pad. So that's going to stop birds coming in, which is especially a problem at the start of spring. Before I turn the system on, there'll already be birds in here if I'm not careful. So I've got to put this back on. And if you have one of these older systems with holes, I recommend getting some bird netting. Now these custom covers are made out of a plasticky type material, and they do go hard and brittle over a period of time, and this one's a little bit brittle on top when it gets cold. It's got a few holes in it, just small holes. That doesn't really matter because these air conditioning systems are waterproof already, but all we're really trying to do is to stop the draft. So, you know, this will last another 2 or 3 years. You'll probably get 10 years out of one of these. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you don't put a cover on, you're probably going to get cold drafts coming down through your house. So even if it's an old tarp with just a bit of rope around the bottom, that'll do. But make sure you do it. Make sure it's going to stay in place over winter, which means tightening it down underneath. So it's fairly important. Tighten it as much as you can. And that's how you winterize the system. Now, come late spring, we're going to do exactly the opposite. We're going to get it ready for summer. The cover will come off. We will give it another check, maintenance, just to make sure everything's fine. Might give it a bit of a wash out on the inside just to get rid of any debris. Turn the water back on and open the vents up downstairs, and we're ready to go. All right, crew, as always, thanks for your time, and until next time, happy fixing. See ya.